So the hole's in. You pull out the hole saw, you take out your plug, and as you're doing that, you realize that the hole you just drilled is too small. You needed a 2-inch hole, not an 1.5 inches. And so while you're licking your wounds and grinding your teeth and trying to figure out what you're going to do, you put on the hole saw that you want. You take a piece of material and you drill through a new template the hole you want. Same process, you start at low RPMs and then pick up your RPMs if you want. This is junk. But this is what's going to get you out of the woods. You just center, however accurate you need to be, the template you just made, and fasten it to the work with a clamp or a screw. The beauty of this is if you need to off-center your hole, you can do that. You can drill a new hole using the edge or matching the center. Low RPM to start. Once you have contact and you're sure it's not going to tear you apart, voila. If you've ever built anything, you know how mistakes multiply. I drilled the wrong size hole. Now I have the right size hole, but it's in the wrong place. This is an expensive piece of siding for a very fussy client, and I just punched a hole a foot from where it needs to be. How do I fix that? Here's how I fix that. If you have a hole saw 1/8 of an inch larger in circumference than the hole you just drilled in the wrong place, you can make a really nice Dutchman. The kerf that is removed on the 2-inch hole with a 2-inch hole saw means a 2 1/8 in this case is going to fit in there pretty nice. You can put a piece of backing back there, put a trim head screw or a finished nail or just a dab of liquid nail, caulk it, paint it, and you're not sunk. Maybe you noticed what I was doing, kind of rolling this around. That's to concentrate the cut on one and a changing portion of the circumference. Once again, you start soft, and once you have everything established, now maybe you just can't stand that amount of blowout. Maybe that raggedy projection, let's turn that over. Maybe that's a deal killer for some reason. Here's how you put a stop to that. Reach around the back. We know where the center of the hole is going to be. Turn it over. Drill from 2 sides. Not rocket science. OSB is terrible about plugging up the teeth. Some other materials are also. So if it won't cut, try that. Same thing, soft start. See that? Much better. Sometimes that's important. Yes.
And it twisted, pinned my hand against the truss.
Oh yeah.
Started, and yeah, it broke 3 fingers, and it's still messed up.
All right, man, we're back at it. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't lying to these good folks.
Oh, good.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
So I don't know if you heard that. But to illustrate the danger associated with these things, especially something like this, put in something like this. That's like working at a lathe, at a machinist lathe, only holding on to the, you don't have a tool rest, and you're holding on to the tool by hand, and if it binds up, it's going to beat you to death with the part of your body it tears off. So my friend Phil Rokas, you may have just heard him. It was a year ago. He's up on a ladder. He's got his foot on the top plate. He's drilling through a top plate with a 2 9/16 inch rotary cutter like that, which is very similar to a hole saw, and it bound up, and it squished his hand against the side of the truss, and it broke 3 bones, 3 fingers, and 1 or 2 of the bones in his metacarpals. So anyway, I just tell you Phil's sad story to illustrate even a top hand can get hurt. But before I take a chance and do that, and it's not really taking a chance, I'm going to advocate that if you can, you use the lowest horsepower drill you can to do the work that you need to do. Now, sometimes you just can't. But a cordless drill is powerful enough for what it's intended for. And it's not powerful enough for this. But if you can use something lighter, at least when you're starting out. Because when you're starting with these things, and I'm going to put this on the low speed. Here's the moment. You see that sort of rotary action? It gives even an underpowered drill a chance of doing this. Teeth are a little gummed up, not that sharp. Pretty good accomplishment for a cordless drill. Let's put it in a big, nasty, ugly, break-a-bone kind of a drill motor and see what happens. So this is a hole hog. They've been around for a long time. I don't think they're necessarily the tool of choice now for really serious drilling. They make longer right-angle drills. But this thing will kill you slow, or kill you fast. Now that wasn't so bad, and we can get used to that, but the idea is more horsepower is great, right up until it's not. Now this is an older style of hole saw before they began to take pity on us for trying to get the plug out. They've made some real innovations. Let me show you some of those improvements. So it's important, and Whole Hog made this concession, that you get a way to hold on to it twice. I mean, nobody with any sense, particularly if you're drilling through thicker material or harder material, is going to try to do that with only this. So they send you from the factory a handle that'll go in here and give you some real advantage. But when you lose that handle, boys, speaking as one who knows, a piece of 3/4 inch pipe thread, will go right in there and give you a fighting chance. There's some things to think about when you're buying hole saw kits, when you're buying the arbors and the saws. And now there's several manufacturers, because they've been pushing forward for a long time to make this doable, right? So this is Milwaukee. My little Milwaukee set comes with 2 different arbor attachment concepts. On the smaller hole saws, it's just a threaded opening, and you just run that in there and chuck that 1/4 inch hex or 5/16 or whatever that is, and you go to work, and then have to get it off. And keep in mind that you're always tightening it, and if you let it rust on there, buddy, it's tight. So you can put a straight edge or a screwdriver or something in there and hit reverse on your drill and flip your screwdriver across the room. But I mean, that's item 1. Things like that have been around for a while. Item 2, Milwaukee also is a sliding lock mechanism, right? You thread it on there however far you want, and then you lock it. I think it's a good idea not to necessarily run the threads up tight, because it's actually these pins that are holding it anyway, and it reduces the likelihood of it binding in there. So that's not bad. Let me show you some older ones, more neglected, that I have. This is a permanent, or at least, yeah, fairly permanent connection. It came with that arbor attached to that saw, but there is a set screw for when you break off the pilot bit. This is an adaptation of that slip lock mechanism, but it's a little rusty. It's a typical Scott Wadsworth maintenance situation, but it's the same deal. The pins slip in there. I'm going to talk more about access for pulling out the plugs here in a second. But we're getting better. I've got what I think is the pinnacle. This is not it. This is a combination of loosening a nut so you can pull back the pins and in need of some WD-40. But here is what I think the wave of the future looks like. This is a Diablo innovation. So they've got the steps. We'll demonstrate that. This is on an SDS shank. My Bosch Bulldog rotor hammer is not here right now, but look at this. That, my friends, has to be the ultimate solution. So, I mean, give that some thought, because, and maybe you know something better. Maybe in your work you're a plumber or an electrician or a pipe fitter or, you know, whatever. You may know the best as of 2025. But for now, if this was on a conventional shank, I think that gets my vote as the best attachment. About 3 more things, maybe 4. Now, in most cases, when you're just drilling and framing materials, an auger bit like that is the way to go. You're not fighting cleaning the bit. It'll grind through just about anything. It doesn't load up and get dull as fast. And you can replace the cutting edge unless you've got to cut through some metal. So I'm going to demonstrate a couple things here. This little hole saw will carefully cut through sheet metal, and then I'm going to go through 1.5 inch pressure treated just to show you what a nightmare it is getting a real piece of wood out of one of these things. Item 1. Not too bad. By the way, these other holes were cut with a plasma cutter to blacksmith a rose. You might check that out if you're interested in blacksmithing. We do that around here too. Long haul. Gonna hit reverse. Try it again. So now the challenge becomes how to get that thing out of there when that saw is hot enough to raise a blister. Yeah, pretty hot. I don't think it'll sizzle. So here's an improvement that these manufacturers have been doing lately. They put the pry point in various locations. This is a good one. This is a good one. I think that's Lennox. See, you can pry and then pry and then pry. This is a good one. Pry, pry, pry. This is an old school bad one. You've really only got one pry. So keep an eye out for that. When you buy these things, you need to be able to get in at various places. This came out easier than it might have. And so that, my friends, is an example of ugly but useful. When you're doing renovations and remodels and working in people's houses, there's almost nothing that's scarier than having to drill a hole through carpet. I mean, if you can pull the carpet back, that's great. Maybe it's hard. And I have no idea if this is going to work the way that I hope it does, but what I've done in the past, whether it's a drill bit or a hole saw, is run it backwards. Because if you hook a strand, you can unravel a strip across that carpet from one side of the room to the other. Let's see how this does. Reverse. Now, I recommend you never do anything like that if you can find a way around it. But sometimes desperate times call for desperate measures. And as long as you run it backwards to begin with, hopefully you're not going to get a piece of the yarn or of the backing and wreck a $10,000 piece of carpet. So auger bits and hole saws, I mean drill bits generally, are the way we think of making holes. Round holes in different materials and substrates. And there are all kinds of things that we have to do in construction and even in the projects that we do for ourselves. If you have something coming up, if you have a project that you may have questions about, consider the Essential Craftsman Academy. We have Zoom meetings twice a month where we get anywhere from 40 to 140 guys and gals with questions and projects and things they show and things they ask and answers. There are answers there to almost any question you're likely to come up with. So if you're interested in that, you can get the first month free, and from there on out, I think you'll see the value. But to my point, there's a lot of ways to cut holes. Some of them will hurt you. All of them need a fair amount of attention. You got to pay attention when you're trying to cut a round hole. I don't care what you're cutting it in. Look around for the adaptation or the invention or the gizmo that you might need, and go right ahead. So if you've got to use a hole saw off a ladder, you're taking your life in your hands. And if you haven't figured it out by now, I am more than just a little bit leery about hole saws generally and the ways that they can hurt you. And I'm not afraid of a lot in construction, but this bugs me. Coupled with a ladder, one of the first we've got some ladder safety videos. One of the first safety things is carry a set of Shira moose horns with you at all times. Attach them to the wall. If you're going to use a step ladder, it goes right in here, so you've got some lateral stability. I mean, these things are strong, right? Right. But the point is, there is a right way to work off a step ladder if you've got to. And that is that you need to push against the A-frame instead of against the sideways overturning moment. You make sure that you use light pressure and to start with. Light pressure. And then pay attention, because right now my head is 10 feet off the ground, plenty far enough to really, really hurt yourself. I wonder what I'm going to do with that. Anyway, if you're interested in these things, we've got a lot of videos: ladder safety, different drill motors, nail guns, building things, blacksmithing, logging. If any of that appeals to you, check out the channel and take a look at the Essential Craftsman Academy. It's good value, it's good people. I think it is a good use of the time we have. Thanks for watching Essential Craftsman. Keep up the good work.